this discussion here today is a chance to reflect honestly on how we as individuals can move beyond words and start making a real difference. The question is, are we willing to do what it takes?
Absolutely. Setting the tone there and asking ourselves lots of questions. We are going to be asking ourselves lots of questions. I want to put it out there as a disclaimer at the onset as well. Between Muhammad Ayaz and myself, Muhammad Ayaz Karim is the one that delves into news probably on a daily basis. And I'm your typical Sunday morning presenter that comes in with a more chilled persona and vibe. So you are the pro when it comes to the news and the discussion. And you did mention for the past week, we've been talking about this program that we were waiting for today to really discuss it, and we've been discussing it often on radio, but I think more so today because you're seeing the attention around the world all come together, and we were like, who do you possibly bring into studio to discuss? There's so many people. There's a list of people who you could think. You think of the people on the ground, you think of the people, and we spoke to Sister Nasiha Suma, who's here today, that have been on the streets, as well as Sister Sayyidah Nisa every week. They have been at different traffic signals and at different traffic points. You think of the PAO and the group from Rauf that have been also so dedicated throughout everything. I always think, and you picture people like Nadia Motala that I write in the front every time you come to these sort of events. So we are honored to have with us in studio none other than, of course, she needs probably no introduction, Lubna Nadvi, who is here with us in studio as well. We want to thank her, Sister Sayyidah Nisa and Nasiha Suma, who literally came off their recent protest action, and they're going to tell us a little bit more about where they just came from. So they came straight in, and they are probably some of the most passionate people to talk about it. Sister Lubna, of course, is an academic researcher, activist, co-founder of the KZN Palestine Solidarity Forum and South Africa Palestine Movement. We've also got, who else is here with us in studio? And sometimes your phones never cooperate with you at the right times. But we've got all the best of the best that are here with us in studio today. And we've also got Sister Nasiha Suma, who, when we spoke to her last week, she is a graduate of UKZN in the field of political and environmental studies, a businesswoman and a Palestine solidarity activist. She's an executive member of the KZN Palestine Solidarity Forum, coordinator of Durban for Palestine, and co-founder and director of South Africa Palestine Movement, and also one of those that if you follow closely on social media, you will see her in almost every single video. When you find her and all of that, you'll see there she is. There's Nasiha, front and center, that have really for the past year, you've seen them, you've seen Sister Sayyidah Nisa as well, passionately. And just yesterday also, all those pictures and videos went up with Judge Siraj Desai and all of them who they were out on the streets with as well. We also welcome for the first time to Radio Al Ansar as well, young Amira. Amira Azim Ahmed is a Pakistani. She was born in Pakistan and grew up in South Africa. She's currently 19. She's studying teaching, but she's engaged in activism and participated in protests and campaigns and organizations that support Palestinian rights. She says she's also focused on educating herself. And this is so important, and it's something that I think is so crucial, especially to the younger generation, that she's educating herself and others about the history and current situation in Palestine by raising awareness through social media and giving speeches at these protests. Sister Sarah, who has also been very active in the past with the Palestinian cause, she said, please have Amira on the program as well. She's always at all our events and very passionate about it also. And I think from a younger perspective, that's so important. And I don't know if you want to introduce our brother Adnan. I'll give you the honor. Please do that.
So, when we were preparing for the show, Sister Salma said, and there's this guy named Adnan, he's a Palestinian. And I'm like, so I know a Palestinian guy named Adnan who's young in Durban. I mean, I wonder how many of them there could be. Well, there's clearly only one because it's the same guy. So for those of you who remember, last week we featured Gazalicious, which is a fantastic Palestinian restaurant based here in KZN. And Adnan is actually, to me, he's the perfect mixture of a Durbanite Palestinian because he's got this
Durbanite Palestinian.
That is like the perfect mixture. But like Adnan, obviously his parents are from Palestine. He's got lots of family there, and he can really speak to. Also, Adnan, you're 18, right?
18.
Adnan is like a youth, so I think it's important to get the perspectives of just the youth, the Palestinian youth, but also he's so cross-cultural here. And I feel like, we've got the perfect panel to have a really engaging conversation. So for those of you who are aware, we're not trying to bombard you with facts. We're not trying to guilt you into, okay, maybe we are, up to a certain extent. But I feel like if I if it requires a lot of effort on my part to guilt you into this, then there's something that you need to check on with yourself. But like, let's just start this conversation immediately. Just getting into it.
Right.
Like, why I feel like many people express support for Palestine, right? Yet we don't often see tangible steps. It's always there's boycotting companies and they're like trends that fall in and out of like what's cool and what's not. Do you feel like not taking a resolute step is a way of really being complicit in what we are seeing continue? Because if you can't be resolute in like just stopping to drink a certain beverage, then surely how much willpower are we expecting those on the opposing side to have? You know, Lubna, please.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for having me in studio, and greetings to the listeners. So I wanted to start off with the point you made about the actions that we take, and perhaps some frustration that there isn't any kind of tangibles, as you
Right.
said. Let me just reflect on something. I started in this Palestine solidarity space in the 90s, and we have over 30 years seen a lot of changes. There are many more organizations, Palestine solidarity organizations, than there were 30 odd years ago. Many more people have entered the space. And so we have seen tangibles. Many more people are educated. The challenge that we have today is that we are fighting against a Zionist entity, a sort of structure that has a lot of resources, funding, and so we have this beast that we have to take on. And many people might feel, oh well, if we don't buy Coke, what difference is that going to make? But the reality is, at the end of the day, that it does make a difference. And we've been saying for the last year that we've been on the streets, if we empty every single shop shelf of Coke, of all the products that support Israel, you would have basically made a huge difference. You can see that a lot of the Starbucks
You're
around
seeing
the
it-
world
yeah.
closing down. You're seeing a lot of the
Yeah,
other
market cap
McDonald's,
properties and
yeah.
McDonald's is not getting support, right, in the Middle East in particular. So let us not be despondent. Let us not be disappointed that Israel is winning. They're not winning. If you look at what's happening on the ground. So I just want to say to our listeners, every single step that you take, when you don't buy that Coke today, you have made a difference.
Right.
And the most important thing is we need to not stop talking about Palestine. Everywhere you go, just wearing this scarf and walking into a mall, you're doing something resolute. So I just want to make that point.
Before you move over from that point, I'm just curious to ask. Sorry to interject.
No.
It's like I think a lot of us have this individualistic mindset, right? So it's like, look at me, I have 300 followers and I don't have a lot of money to spend every month. So I want to drink my Coke. Let me drink my Coke. That's
I'm
the
not going to
argument.
make a difference. Like
Not gonna make a
Lubna
difference.
said. Yeah.
But why do we never look at it as there is real power in numbers, right?
Yes.
At the end of the day, we've got 8 billion people on this planet, and at this point, it's very clear that at least 7 billion of them support Palestine. Why does nobody ever look at it like that? Because you need to add your count your pennies and let's not be penny wise pound foolish here. Like, I really think this is a situation where you really need to not count yourself as yourself, but count yourself as part of a collective. I really would like to speak to that.
So I basically started as a little bit background on me. I started in UKZN. I was a Muslim girl who got to campus after going to Al Falah for my whole life. It was a culture shock. It was everything of this sort. I'm very much typical Durban Muslim girl. And I'm not ashamed to say that, because I understand this generation. I understand my friends. I understand people that I'm close to. But I was fortunate enough to, along the way, meet lecturers like Sister Lubna Nadafi. Along the way at protests, I was always passionate about Palestine. I went to Al Falah. I mean, every single opportunity they got, any Islamic school, any single opportunity we got lectured on Palestine. We got lectured on the importance of community. We got lectured on the importance of Al-Quds, the importance of Jerusalem. And I'm not trying to say that it's a Muslim struggle, but I'm trying to say that lines up with the secular world. And there is no difference. It just happens that it's all occurring on one space, and we've been taught to think that, it's a religious war, it's just Jews and Muslims fighting each other once again, it's war and terror. We've been taught to think these things from social media. I don't think we ever, as South African Muslim youngsters ask ourselves, how fortunate are we that we're not labeled as terrorists? How fortunate are we that we're not really, from time to time, we can get issue at OR Tambo Airport or whatever it may be, but we don't really face what someone in the United States of America faces as a Muslim girl or as a Muslim man. And all of these things are interlinked. And my point is that you are not, to go back to Muhammad Ayaz's point, is that you are not one person. You are one person in a globe of people that face these very real problems that have emerged in the last year that have always been happening. Where our voices, our what we look like or whatever is not counted. The brown, the black babies that look like our children. And everyone says they're paying witness to this genocide. And I want to say, yes, you're paying witness, and I see it. I see it on your stories. I see it on your commitment. I see how many of you are trying to join the movement for Palestine. But I'm begging and pleading that on this 1 year of genocide, realize that you have the potential just on your phone to make one reel and reach 20,000 people. 20,000 people that may have not realized that, if I don't drink Coke, I'm not I'm supporting genocide if I drink Coke, or I'm supporting a Palestinian baby being killed if I don't drink a glass of cool drink.
That's it. When you look at the stark realities, it becomes a lot more jarring.
Now, I want to, there were a few thoughts that came to mind now, and I want to go to Sister Said Nisa at this point, G. You can take the mic towards you, absolutely. But a few things came up now when Sister Nasiha was speaking, as well as Sister Lubna. We've all grown up with that, also coming from a private now with the cause and the many others, like you could say their names, are the ones that you'll see first at all of these marches, at all of these protests. And it becomes almost, you heard on Saturday as well, where you have to not force people, but try to encourage people to participate and come for these marches and so forth. But let's talk a little bit about actually being an activist. When you are associated with a cause and people begin to almost, I wouldn't say judge, but begin to class everyone together. Like, okay, these are the activists, these are the ones that are going to be doing the hard work, while the rest of us can just put up a status and change it to a Palestinian flag. You have you guys that are actually going out there, going and fighting for the cases. If you look at the people with the ICJ as well. So the activists are often labeled as maybe too intense or unrelating, or you'll find it over a table. And I've seen people, when the moment the topic of Palestine comes about, and then the eyes begin to roll to an extent. It's happened at family gatherings and everything, like, oh boy, here we go again. And now, this is why it's so important. Although everybody is empathizing and is on the same side, what is the perception of activism, or what drives this perception? Why do people feel uncomfortable with the continuous calls of action or being made to think about what's happening?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum to everybody.
Waalaikum salam.
I am someone that recognizes any inequalities is an inequality and we need to stand up with. Being very focused on Deen, Al-Islam, Quran and Sunnah, I could not stand back, sit back and watch my brothers and sisters in South Africa in the non-white community be marginalized and separated and live in conditions that are appalling. So I, with young people in South Africa of all faiths, began to address these challenges. So something about my background, I was one of the women and in the 80s that stood up and marched fearlessly for a just cause. And that was apartheid. And intertwined was the struggle of the people of Palestine. And anyone that's struggling, it is so important that we be a voice for them. So I have been part of the National Youth Development Forum. I sat with people that I didn't want to be anywhere near. I sat with people from the National Party, from the IFP, and we've never engaged with them because they were the perpetrators in South Africa. And so, alhamdulillah, we were the change managers in our country. So many a time we met with Nelson Mandela. And I had the opportunity to tell Mandela that what I and the Muslims in South Africa were doing for his release and for the abolishment of apartheid. And if you take this with the struggle of the people of Palestine, it is not separate. But also during apartheid, we were strong and brave enough to have the important day, maybe we need to go back to, is Al-Quds Day. And that was one item a year that we in South Africa observed for the people of Palestine. But we in South Africa did it under security risk. And so we stood up and we got this. So I am also the coordinator in South Africa of the Global Network of Children. And we work in 78 countries of the world. Now, how can I be silent? I'm a child's rights activist. Any child, irrespective of it being a South African child, globally, they are my concern. And so those are the reasons why you see us active. And our activism is fearless. So one other thing is the African Union Interfaith Dialogue Forum. I'm also a founder member of this. And I had opportunities to be in the African Union to talk about the challenges that we in Africa, similar to Palestine, face. And so when we started the Fridays for Palestine, there was one important point that we made, and was, if I am first, or any of my two colleagues here, Lubna and Nasiha, if we were there first, we will stand on our own with our flags and our placard, irrespective of if anyone comes or not. And I think, like the two mentioned, we must never feel that whatever I am doing is not significant.
True.
Even if I am the only person in the world standing up for the plight of the Palestinian people, I must do it. And on that line, fearlessly, with Allah as our guide, following Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I mean it, we are as active in our physical activities, so are we punctual in our deen as well.
Ameen, inshallah. Beautifully put.
Jazakallah for those insights. It's honestly eye-opening, because like sometimes like Salma and I, we old now, we accept it, but it's hard for us to actually fully understand the struggles, because we haven't to be like in that awkward middle-aged place. Right?
The millennials that are neither here nor there, but yeah.
But look, I there's a lot that we can talk about, and unfortunately the show isn't long enough, but I wanted to just jump around. I want everyone to give the insights, but I really want to ask the two youngest members of our panel here today, something that I think is most relevant to you, which you could probably resonate with the most, which is the level of performance of social media interaction, right? It's something that is, look, lots of people do it for views and follows, and it is a nature of the beast, right? How do people move beyond performance of social media activism, such as just sharing posts or using hashtags, and try to do this alongside with taking meaningful actions in their communities? Either one of you, feel free.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Adnan. Thank you for having me, Brother Ayaz and Sister Salma Qazi. So, reflecting on everyone's speech as we go far, I haven't done much yet for the Palestinian cause, but I always try to do more and more. And me being here is just trying to teach our South African audience, our Durbanites here in Durban, make them feel, tell them what it is like in Gaza on a closer level, because I have lived it before. I have family who came recently who have lived this war and witnessed this war. And I want to tell you on the next level that everything that you do, even if it's the smallest thing, matters to them. Because I took my uncle on a tour around Durban, and we've went to so many Muslim-owned stores, and I've told him these are the Muslim stores, Muslim-owned stores, and he looked at me in like shock. How are these Muslim stores and he's still selling Coke, McDonald's, and all of that? And we've seen a lot of Muslim, even on my close friends list, I've seen a lot of my Muslim brothers still buy Coke.
Unashamedly.
Yeah. No. It's like, it's become, no, at the beginning of the war, it was like, okay, yeah, you know, I can't drink Coke. Or what, you know, my brothers and sisters in Palestine are dying. But
like you curb your nafs for a certain period of time,
then it wears
and
off.
then you
I feel
allow
like-
the people
I feel like
to reach
the barrier between our Muslims here and like the barrier of not buying these products, not supporting the genocide that's going on in Gaza, is like, it's breaking. So I've seen them buy, and that actually shocked my uncle, because when he was in Gaza, Palestine, trying to survive, we were like telling him, yeah, you know, South Africa is one of the biggest supporters for Palestine, and we do appreciate everything that South Africa has done, especially with the ICJ. I would say that South Africa did everything it could do, like more than the Arab countries, more than the Arab regimes and all of that. But there is still more than we can do on our next level. We can break the barrier again, and like we can start a new step. Awaken the people again to what's going on, what's happening, because
constantly have to fan those flames. But like, I'm curious from your perspective, like, what do you think are the consequences of just limiting yourself to being an online activist, and not necessarily taking what you say, like not actually like practicing what you preach? Do you think that there are consequences, or people are just benefiting from it?
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Amira. So as you've touched on the topic, so what I wanted to say on this is that, you know, like how people like, they tend to like say, you know, I'm going to boycott a certain product, and I'm going to like not buy Coke for this period of time and this and that. So what I've noticed is from last year, October 7th, when this whole thing began, people like, they took it in. They were like, you know what, we're going to stop with Coke, we're going to stop with McDonald's, we're going to stop with Starbucks. And they have, like, I'm not even going to lie, they have. I've seen it for myself. But at the same time, as time like progressed, as time went on, I feel like people just started to like soften.
Yeah.
They became more like, you know, okay, this thing is over now. Since nobody's posting about it, I feel like posting makes a very big difference. I feel like going on protest makes a very big difference. But people now tend to see it as a trend. Like they feel like because it's a trend, they're going to hop on it for a certain period of time. And then once the trend dies, they stop boycotting, they stop like going for protests and stuff. Okay, understandable. I think they do get busy as well with like school, work and whatnot. But at the same time, I personally feel it's not that hard to boycott. I feel like you can like swap it out for something else. Like for instance, McDonald's for something else. Like you don't have to live on it. Like that's just my perspective. It's not that hard. It's not that deep. Because at the end of the day, we have to think about our people in Gaza, our people in Lebanon, our people in Yemen, and how they are suffering and what the exactly everybody in this world. It's not that hard. It's not that deep. I feel like it can be said and done.
It is. It definitely can be said and done, and it's been proven. You've seen it. People have shown stats of certain franchises and how they've dropped in the stocks and how it has impacted the world. We've seen the marches and protests in the UK. The numbers, they say over 300,000 marched in London this weekend. And the numbers were enormous and all around the world. And it's all religions. But I want to raise a point now based on what you said as well. When we talk about society and the pressure faced by society, we talk also about, in a subtle way, a disruption of our own lives, where some people are tempted to not really get involved. They're reluctant to not get involved because of the potential disruption to their social, cultural, and even financial lives. How would living a lifestyle like this, where you are so now aware of what is happening in the Middle East and you're so aware of what is going on and you're trying to make carefully thought out decisions, you're choosing to be active, you're choosing to voice it, you stand risk then of maybe losing your social media accounts, you then stand the risk of, to an extent, alienation within your community. You stand at risk of many different things. And how do you handle that aspect? And how has it changed over the past year? Or do you also see similar attitude where it's somewhat become almost a norm now, where people have almost become numb to what's happening in Palestine? Okay, it's been a year, nothing's changed. Okay, let's just keep posting. But the novelty has somewhat worn off. How does that work? What's your thoughts on that?
So I think that you have to look at which background you come from. So if we look at some of our celebrities, let me start there, right? A few of them have actually taken the very important step of showing public support for Palestine. And they have basically been isolated and marginalized in their communities. I think of someone like this model, Bella Hadid. I think it is one of these. She's of Palestinian origin, right? But she and others who are supporting Palestine, they've lost work. And many others are in that same position, whether it's in the United States or in other spaces. So I'm talking about Muslims and non-Muslims who are in spaces where, their work can be impacted on and their livelihoods and so on. But they have taken that very important step to support Palestine openly, and you have to take off your hat to them. You have to give credit where credit is due. But just in terms of being a Muslim and being in contact with your faith and your connection to the Almighty, if you watch what is happening in Palestine and in Lebanon, in other parts of the world, and not actually get involved, then you have to ask yourself, what am I? Who am I? It's a question, it's a philosophical, basic question, existential question. How can I not be involved? And it's understandable, people are busy, they have lives, they are parents, they are professionals, all of that. And so it's a case of some people can get involved to a certain extent. Some people can't get involved for whatever reason. And I've learned to not be judgmental over the years, because we've had meetings and events and so on. At some event, 5 people will come, at another 50 will come, another 500, whatever. We go with it, So at the end of the day, everybody knows what's going on, and it's up to each individual to be able to take that decision for themselves. But you have to ask yourself, if I was in that position, if I was having bombs fall down on top of me and seeing my children killed in front of me, would I not want someone else in some other part of the world to stand up for me, to speak up for me? So here in South Africa, we went through apartheid. We know what it's like. We had people from around the world who spoke up for us. They boycotted apartheid South Africa. They did everything that it took to bring down apartheid in this country. So we know that it can happen. But also, one of the challenges that we have is that some people enter the movement for perhaps the wrong reasons. Perhaps it's for name and fame, or perhaps it's to get business, or whatever the case may be. And I think that that's something that we have to actually take on, because if you get involved in the Palestine Solidarity movement, your heart, your mind, and your soul must be in sync, because you must do it for the right reason. It's understandable that sometimes, and I want to clarify, we have journalists, we have professionals who are in the space to earn a living, so they capture the images that get sent out, right? And that's perfectly fine. We're not criticizing. But there may be other people who are really in the movement for personal, selfish reasons. And that is something I want to speak out about, because I think we must challenge it and take it on. But at the end of the day, everybody who is in the space, ask yourself the question, why am I in the space? What am I here for? And if you are able to answer that and answer it well, then you know that you're doing the right thing.
Beautifully put.
I was just going to ask you, like, I was looking at your facial expressions, and it's, I think when Sister Lubna mentioned, like, get into it for business, it's something that we both rolled our eyes at, because it's so true. It's so true, right? Do you think that society pressures individuals to conform to this consumerist lifestyle? And do you think that people maybe also sometimes are afraid of losing their financial stability? I don't want to point out specific instances or examples. I think you can use your imagination to figure it out, because there are a lot of things that aren't haram that are also not necessarily correct, right? You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
So do you think this plays a huge part in it? Because I feel like money does make the world go round, and it has become something that we feel like a sense of fight or flight in a situation where our financial comfort is taken away. So we feel like, no, there's no option. We forget Rosie comes from Allah, right?
Yeah. So look, this is a big debate. This economic debate is a large debate. But what I want to say is that on that point, a lot of people said, and I think somebody mentioned it in one of our groups today, that they heard it on radio, whichever radio it was, they heard it on radio, that what about people's jobs, and what about we boycotting these companies, and what about these people's jobs? Now, I said something at my speech on Saturday at the march, and I was very emotional, so it wasn't even written down. So I'm going to try and remember what I said properly. I said, can you imagine that we are taking South African money from a free South Africa from apartheid? We are taking we are only free because of the international community and the international pressure on South Africa from an economic perspective. And that is not debated. It is true. We all know that South Africa went through, and the National Party went through, a huge economic fall. And that is how it was no longer sustainable to keep apartheid going, because it was costing them more money to keep it going. So, and that came from activist work, came from the international community, came from solidarity, came from boycotts, came from all of these things that we've already said, this is what the Palestinian cause needs. It's been said for decades now. I mean, I'm off campus since 2013. It's 2024. It's 11 years later. And Dr. Lubna said it to me in my first year of university in 2009. So it's not like it hasn't been said before. We have been harping on
And I'm old school like that. I need a pen and paper in front of me, especially when there's interesting points coming through. And I didn't want to lose track, especially what Sister Lubna pointed. And I'm thinking I need to ask Sister Seydounisa this, because I know how passionate she is about something. And I want to bring Adnan in also about something. But before we're going to go to Adnan, I want Sister Seydounisa to just comment on something very quickly, because I know in the past, she's brought up something, and I cannot for the life of me recall the event, but I remember you speaking, and we spoke about protest action, and it was many, many years ago. And we spoke something about protest action and how it has changed over the years. And there was something about the way forward. And like Sister Lubna's even said in the past, where now, even if it means standing on the road, even if it means the motorcades that people are now doing, that's a more that we never did in the past, but that's somewhat like a new technique now that's being used, where people are driving around Umhlanga, and being from the Durban North area, that's almost it's so fun, because we always end up joining it just on impulse, and then when you see those cars going past, and it's so important, because those are necessarily not the places like Overport where you'll see a Palestinian flag anyway. When you spot it, you hear those hooters like crazy, because we get excited to see it there. But what do you think now, going into 2024 and seeing the criticism, maybe the people, like we said, that roll their eyes to protest or whatever it may be, what could possibly be the way forward for what has potentially been learned in this past year, that 1 year later now, what would be the way forward going into 2025? We don't know what's going to happen over the next few weeks, but what would be the way forward for all of these organizations? What will be done perhaps differently, maybe incorporating this generation here with 18-year-olds and 17-year-olds to create more awareness among them and get them involved in protest action in the future? How are we going to get that generation in?
I think for us as South Africans, and our position, both government and civil society, in the Palestine solidarity, and globally, everyone stopped. Many people who earn a salary will get less money over this few days, because from the 4th to the 13th is International Week of Resisting Genocide. And globally, we civil society are resisting. We fear nothing. Many of us, like which have been spoken, will lose their salary. Right now, one of the guys said, I took my lunch break late so I could come and join the picket outside the Holocaust Museum. So the consciousness needs to continue. Palestine is not going to be free in a year or in the next near future. And so we as civil society, together with our government, and not only with our government, with governments and coalition globally, we need to keep this momentum. Like, for instance, I'm connected internationally for my work, as well as for the solidarity space. But people want to know, why are you South Africans every Friday on the street? Your government took... but we won't stop until Palestine is free. And so we hope that the young people that are listening, we have recruited 2 people here, and recruiting 1 person is important, even if it takes us a lifetime. We are going to do this. And it's so important that radio stations like Al Ansar and other media houses need to help promote these type of things. Like, for instance, every Friday where we are going to be, and hopefully Friday from 5 to 6, coming Friday, we are going to be at St. Thomas and Musgrave Road. It's a popular spot that we go to. And like we had more than 30, 40 people today at the protest, we wish that number can come. But also we realize that people are working. They don't live around the area. But then on our social media, where we have thousands and thousands of followers on TikTok, on Instagram, on X, although it's fading, but they are the old generation that still are on, and our Facebook, many. And I have like 30 pages on Facebook. If I post one, it's going viral on all these things. So we, as the Palestine Solidarity Forum, the South African Palestine Movement, and our individual jobs as an educator, as an ethics educator, as an educator who respects and who empathize. 2 very important words. If we live our life with respect and empathy, we will be able to understand what the situation is and see how we're going to go. And so we would like people to continue in the month of October with all actions for a free Palestine, and just follow, wherever you are in your small way, and do something, even if it means just social media.
We'll break for your news, and when we return, we'll go back to our brother Adnan and Sister Amira, and then wrap up the discussion with our team today. Back after the news.
Gonna be in his court, standing all alone. Oh Allah, you be pleased with us, and you take us to your paradise. Paradise, 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 paradise. Let me be the one to wear a crown. Let me run around in the gardens. Allah, 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 grant me Jannah. Let me be the one to wear a crown. Let me run around in the garden.
Radio Ansar. An informative Islamic global perspective. This is Al Ansar News.
Making news, these are the 7th of October, the news from Durban, 90.4 FM, Pietermaritzburg, 105.6 FM. COSATU in KwaZulu-Natal berates government for failing workers. America Monina, COSATU's KwaZulu-Natal leader, has accused the government of failing to help workers to keep up with the growing cost of living. The Trade Union Federation is holding nationwide protests today against what it calls the growing economic crisis in South Africa. In Durban, workers who are members of unions affiliated to COSATU have been marching to the hall to hand over their memorandum. Tertiary Education National Union of South Africa and United National Transport Union UNTU have all joined COSATU in the march. Representatives have this to say.
We are standing here not only as FEDUSA, but together with other unions, because we want to highlight the state of the country and we want to bring awareness to all the issues that are plaguing society. And we have unemployment that is very high, over 11 million people who are unemployed. We also have high costs of living, and we know electricity, we know about fuel hikes, food prices, interest rates, all affect the cost of living, and we have to address that as a nation. So we want to bring attention to the fact that the workers who support this country are really struggling to make ends meet. But together with that, we need health and education to be attended to.
As UNTU, we are organizing in the Transnet PRASA environment. So we are affected by the privatization that is happening.
Monese police say they have arrested over 12,100 suspects throughout the country between last Monday and Sunday. They conducted crime intelligence tracing operations and roadblocks. The arrest included over 1,600 suspects wanted for crimes such as murder, attempted murder, rape, and house robbery. National Police spokesperson Amanda van Wyk says also they confiscated 131 firearms during the operations. Van Wyk further says that 30 of the firearms were confiscated during the police operations in KwaZulu-Natal, while in the Western Cape, 23 were confiscated. More news. The Competition Commission has released the latest edition of the Essential Food Price and Monitoring Report. It tracks food prices throughout the value chains of selected essential foods. It noted that fuel prices go up astronomically. The Commission says it will continue to monitor retailers. Kakiso Zwane of the Competition Commission is wading in.
We're not seeing the same pace decrease as the increases. And I think a prominent example of this captured in our report has been in cooking, where towards the end of last year, there was a very steep decline in the producer price of cooking oil, which is what producers sell it to retailers for. But the average retail price has not come down by the same extent. At another value chain of interest where a similar factor is playing out is in bread, where the value of wheat that goes into baking a loaf of bread has come down, yet the producer price of bread does not appear to have come down. The price of eggs at both the producer and the retail level is still considerably higher than it was before the avian flu outbreak increase.
In your international story, a United Nations organization charged with working for gender equality and empowerment of women says thousands of women are facing life-threatening health risk in Gaza, where more than 41,000 Palestinians have been killed as a result of Israel's war. Now, the UN body says in a report that more than 85% of health facilities in Gaza have been damaged, disrupting medical services and making it challenging for women to gain access to health care. Now, the report also underscored the urgent needs for women, such as cancer treatment, maternal health services, and psychological support. The UN agency is appealing for immediate assistance in order to address the special health needs of women and girls in Gaza. Financial indicators ran to the dollar 17 rands 41, the euro 19 rands 11 cents, British pound is 22 rands 77 cents. The weather now 24 degrees. A quick reminder of our top story. COSATU's KwaZulu-Natal leader has accused the government of failing to help workers to keep up with the growing cost of living. In Durban, workers are marching to the City Hall to present a memorandum. That's the news.
Radio Al-Ansar, Durban, 90.4 FM, Peter Maritzburg, 105.6 FM.
Looking for the perfect Umrah experience? Look no further. One Stop Travel and Tours brings you exclusive Umrah group packages with Qatar Airways departing from Johannesburg. Enjoy a seamless journey with flights, accommodations in Makkah and Medina, and visas all included. Experience spiritual peace with Ziyarat Tours guided in English. Departure dates start from December 25th, returning by January 14th. For a stress-free, soul-enriching Umrah journey, call One Stop Travel today at 031-271-2800. One Stop Travel and Tours. Your pilgrimage, our priority.
When you give water, you're reaching out to drought-affected areas, bringing them to life. Fresh water to drink, to clean, and to grow. That's the power of water. Donate now to Islamic Relief.
If somebody gave you 500 rand now, what would you do with it?
I'd actually buy groceries.
Buy myself a cologne.
Probably full fuel, petrol.
If somebody gave you 500 rand now, what would you do with it?
Online shopping.
Honestly, I would get groceries for the family as well.
If somebody gave you 500 rand now, what would you do with it?
I would feed my kids.
That would contribute towards my lights and water bill.
Put petrol in my car.
Online shopping.
Put it towards school fees.
If somebody gave you 500 rand now, what would you do with it?
I don't know. I have no idea.
You don't have to decide now. Enter the brain squeeze on the Breakfast Rush. Win, and you can decide later.
Looking for the perfect Umrah experience? Look no further. One Stop Travel and Tours brings you exclusive Umrah group packages with Qatar Airways departing from Johannesburg. Enjoy a seamless journey with flights, accommodations in Makkah and Medina, and visas all included. Experience spiritual peace with Ziyarat Tours guided in English. Departure dates start from December 25th, returning by January 14th. For a stress-free, soul-enriching Umrah journey, call One Stop Travel today at 031-271-2800. One Stop Travel and Tours. Your pilgrimage, our priority.
The Outreach Slice of Life campaign. Since its inception, our Slice of Life has touched the lives of countless individuals through our distribution to schools, old age homes, orphanages, and deserving families within our community. This initiative has been instrumental in alleviating hunger. For only 9 rand a loaf, you will be providing a family with their daily staple, bread. Donate now on www.alansar.org.za or call Outreach on 031-208-1601.
They convinced the world to believe that terrorists look like beards and thobes. Now, as the facade cracks, one martyr after another, the world sees through the broken windows and now knows the true face of terrorism. It wears suits and ties and smiles behind lies.
Looking for the perfect Umrah experience? Look no further. One Stop Travel and Tours brings you exclusive Umrah group packages with Qatar Airways departing from Johannesburg. Enjoy a seamless journey with flights, accommodations in Makkah and Medina, and visas all included. Experience spiritual peace with Ziyarat Tours guided in English. Departure dates start from December 25th, returning by January 14th. For a stress-free, soul-enriching Umrah journey, call One Stop Travel today at 031-271-2800. One Stop Travel and Tours. Your pilgrimage, our priority.
Few minutes after 4 o'clock. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm Salma Kazi Wahab and joined by Muhammad Ayaz Kareem. We're here today with our own roundtable sort of discussion with our honorable guests in studio, unwrapping 1 year. We can't really say 1 year. It's been happening now technically 76 years, right? Now, if you were to be really accurate. But the Gaza war, the genocide, you can't even call it a war. What has been going on is now slowly spreading. Some people are dubbing it World War III. You're looking at Lebanon, you're looking at Syria, you're looking at Congo, you're looking at all around the world. Sometimes you don't even know if you want to open the news, what is it going to be about today? But let's go, we're calling it somewhat of a rapid fire because we want to make some important points and our messages to our listeners. 5 points, you say, eh? 5 minutes. 5 minutes, okay. Brother Ayaz here, our producer of the social network, and he says 5 minutes per guest, basically just to
5 minutes before Asr Azan.
Oh no. Okay, 1 minute then. Okay, let's go. But Brother Adnan first. Let's speak to you. I was just looking at the news a little earlier on with regards to the VIT students that had set up a protest just there on their campus, and it was dismantled by the guards. And you look at something like that, for instance, it was literally taken down by the campus security, their exhibition, and they even confiscated the boards, the artwork, their banners and everything at Wits University. You look at what the students are going through at Stellenbosch campus. Now you here in Durban, you are engaging, you're 18 years old, you're engaging with the youth here in Durban as well. What would you say to the youth that are trying now, the people in your circle, that young generation that can make such an impact and are going to be the future Lubna Nadvis and the future Sayyidinisa Sayyids? What would you say to them?
Sorry, I just want to say that the fight against the Palestinian cause has always been going on. We've seen that in America a few months ago, and we've seen how the students in America have stood up and how that made a big deal, and how happy the Palestinians in Gaza have became after those big marches in America. I also want to say about the marches that are happening in our campuses, in Durban, in South Africa in general, that do not stop this, because it does make a difference. I've sent some pictures to my family members in Gaza who are living in the genocide right now, and I've shown them how our young people, our youth, are just going out, calling out the genocide, trying to stop it, trying to make any small difference. So just please don't stop. Let's get it on. Let's keep the momentum going. It's October. It's been 1 year. Let's not stop doing this. And hopefully we can make a better difference, and a better future for the Palestinian cause, inshallah.
Inshallah. Ameen. Sister Amira, if you had to have words from you as somebody that's often at most of the marches and protest actions, how would you encourage others to participate, or what would you say? Why is it important, and what would you do differently?
I would say do not give up. Do not give up. Do not let the hope die. I feel like there's a lot of hope. There's a lot of reasons why you should still be participating in this ongoing genocide for the momentum and all that. And I have attended a lot of Palestine protests where I've joined others in advocating for the freedom and rights of the Palestinian people. And I feel like when you do attend these type of protests and stuff, you get to meet other people that are more enthusiastic than you are, and that makes you feel like, you're not the only one that has the same type of energy. And I feel like that motivates you to post more further, to go for these events even more, because then you're on the same level of energy as them. So I feel like do not let the hope die, do not give up, do not stop boycotting, do not stop saying anything, do not stop posting. No matter, there's one thing, if you are getting shadow banned on Instagram, because I am shadow banned currently, it's not allowing me to post. If you're getting shadow banned, if you're getting shadow banned, just don't stop posting. Let it be shadow banned, because at the end of the day, all we want to do is make the people of Gaza happy, and wherever we can to help them, that's the only thing that should matter.
Absolutely, definitely should. So while we're on that ring, while we go there, before we go back to this side, let's ask Sister Sayyidinisa was getting ready. She was getting up to say something. That's why I told her, let's just have her say first. What is going through your mind right now?
I think everyone should start a hashtag caring and sharing with hope. Caring and sharing with hope. Oh, sorry, that's to do with children. It's giving hope for the hopeless. And the very important thing is, like what has just been mentioned, is that, each one of us must take a responsibility of advocating for good over bad. And I think the other point is that everyone in their life have done something very small but significant, something good. And I think we need to let that good brighten our present and our future. Young people are coming and supporting our Fridays for Palestine. And we don't judge, like Lubna mentioned. We don't know who they are, where they come from, but they are with us on a just cause for a just Palestine. And this is what we need to encourage. And I would like two of you all to just bring young people on board. Somehow the other, our young people are to be blamed, because they are so-called the millennium, the free generation. We never had cell phones while we were growing up. We had with us ethics, we had with us morals, we had with us akhlaq, we had with us doing good and forbidding evil. So this is where we come from. And now we find children sitting on this. It doesn't mean that you mustn't use it. I, for instance, I'm never shadow banned. Because I have 3 Instagram accounts. Come on, people, you should do that.
Look, for context, I've been banned from TikTok 3 times at this point.
So just go. I have 3 TikTok accounts. And I know for a time I said to my colleagues, TikTok is not for me. And then when Palestine, the whole 7th October became on the 5th of December, very clearly, I set up my first TikTok account. I now got 3. So why are you squealing? Please do not let anything set you back. Do not be afraid of being alone in anything. Who are you going to take when you're gone from here? No one. So be brave enough, be bold enough to say, I can do something and I will do it. Facebook. I have 3 Facebook accounts, and
I got about 19 Facebook accounts.
And I've got 30, and I have 30 pages that I've been given as top contributor, and I share all this information. So please, young people, wake up. It's now time. If you continue to sleep, we are really going to lose not just the Palestinian struggle. You yourself are going to lose out because you're missing something. You're missing what you as an individual supposed to be doing, why you were created. And we know that the good must overshine bad. And inshallah, we hope that Palestine is free in our lifetime.
So look, before we wrap up with Sister Lubna Nadvi, I just want to ask Ms. Sumar over here, and this might be a little bit polarizing, controversial, but like I think it's important to touch on this point. You said something to me earlier in the ad break. Let's not talk so much about the performative behavior on social media, because let us use that to our advantage. And I think that's well said. Some people just don't have the moral compass to come to that themselves. So if it requires us to blackmail you into acting in a way that is morally right, then so be it. Please talk on it. Let's speak with brevity. We have a few minutes left.
Okay, right. Literally, it's been 75 years in the making. Today we went to the Holocaust Museum. The genocide has been going for 1 year. This Palestine issue is 75 years in the making. So all I have to say is not with our money, not with South African money, boycott something. Start with Clover. They're an Israeli company. Start with them. Boycott Clover.
There we go.
Masha, love that brevity. And
too.
Yeah, look, and there are alternatives to everything in this day and age. But to take us to the close, Sister Lubna, talk to us in a way that is unapologetic, unsanitized, and pull no punches is what I'm asking you to do. Because I really want people to feel the impact of
Don't say it.
Okay.
Don't say it.
Whether or not we'll get through is another
Go to
question.
the nasheed and then we're going to see what we're going to do.
2-minute nasheed.
My fears, I keep my head high, deep in my heart. I never have any doubt the Palestine tomorroll will be free. Palestine tomorrow will be free. I saw those rockets and bombs shining in the sky, like drops of rain in the sun's light, taking away everyone dear to my heart, destroying my dreams in a blink of an eye. What happened to our human rights? What happened to the sanctity of life and all those other lives? I know that I'm only a child, but is your conscience still alive? Oh, yeah, I will caress with my bare hands every precious grain of sand, every stone and every tree. No matter what they do, they can never hurt you, 'cause your soul will always.
With just a few minutes to 4:30, I found this very interesting that was shared on social media as well, the power of social media. And I need to keep that mental note to have 3 social media accounts now. Thank you, Sister Saydun, for that. The Gazan model has totally redefined the relationship between humanity and religion, as we witness Quran circles as drones encircle them from above. Daily acts of sacrifice enabled only by dua and dhikr. Celebrations of martyrs' mothers despite their tears and heartache. Requests of the living to the dead to convey their greetings to the prophets and the righteous in heaven. Commitment to hijab even as they sleep at night. Attachment to congregational salah even above the rubble of their destroyed mosques. Mouths that are only ever heard praising and thanking Allah. The Gazan model has uncovered the unseen world through the seen, the unwitnessed through the witnessed. Now the TikTok generation, once viewed with utter despair, buzz with a universal awakening and a brand new engagement with their religion like never before. How amazing is that?
Excellent. Like,
I loved it when I saw it.
It's so, like, thought-provoking things are really important. I think we tend to not want to. People say, they're so deep. You think you're so deep. You think you're so like, why?
No, that was from
not that. It's
Sheikh
something that
Ali
resonates with you, share
Hamouda.
it, no?
Yeah, Sheikh Ali Hamouda. And there's such beautiful things being shared online at the moment. Of course, Khalid Baidoun, everyone following Al Jazeera, sharing all the latest stats, TRT World, and many others as well, Middle East Eye. Follow authentic sources also, please. That's the other thing for somebody that you know the drill.
Yeah. But look, I think as we wrap up the
Yes,
show
please.
today, I think it's important to remember, firstly, just this trust and amanah that we have as Muslims. I spoke about it earlier on Shagufta's show, but I think it's the cornerstone of any strong sort of foundation or relationship. This trust that we all have as human beings in this world. The more you overlook something and allow it to fester, it fractures it. It fractures us, and we've seen that divide and conquer, honestly, is the most effective tool to separate the population. I keep saying this over and over. I can't understand how 197-year-old reptilian men are sitting somewhere and running all of us, where we've got, and I know that sounds so conspiracy theory, but frankly, at this point, if you don't believe in certain conspiracy theories, then where have you been? Really, where have you been? I've become a flat earther at this point. So it's important to understand that at the end of the day, I said this, I posted a message to our staff group a while ago. I read an article in the Daily Maverick, 2 researchers that I've interviewed before from the Brenthurst Foundation. They spoke about October 7th and the situation in Palestine as if it was 2021. It was like these talking points again. It frustrated me to such a point where I was like, we cannot allow mainstream media to continue. Like, how is this getting published in 2024? Do you know what I'm saying? And at this point, we know we're going back to the ICJ. So we are fully aware that it is preempting what setting the narrative, right? We as an Islamic organization, it would be remiss of us not to push back. And we clearly can, because the facts are on our side. At the end of the day, it's time to treat these people with the same amount of respect that they've treated us with. At what point are we going to give them the outrage that they deserve until they come into our houses and start merging us and our children? Because that is how it's looking to me. And I'm sure a lot of you echo my frustration here, but I feel like it really is important. So yeah, that was the social network. But look, I'm going to be here with you tomorrow and Wednesday. Sister Salma is bowing out because she broke her foot. You know,
I did not break.
Let's make dua for her. She's like got a big blue foot, and she's not going to be able to walk up the stairs to the studio. And tomorrow I'll be joined by Mulana Bilal Kachada, one of our blasts from the past. He's coming back, and now that I'm in Durban, he's going to be here in studio with me. And on Wednesday, another blast from the past, Isitronics. I'm sure you guys all remember Ismail Ghani and Movara, the comedian of Durban. They're all going to be in studio with me. So join me for the next 2 days. I'll be your host of the social network. After 4 years, it's the first time I'm actually doing this myself. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, Jazakallah so much to all our guests. And of course, Sister Salma, and I'm going to give it to you to wrap up.
Of course, I just want to say this October 7th, keep that image that you remember. And I remember a year ago when that image flooded everyone's screens of those young Palestinians taking over an Israeli army jeep on the 7th of October and returning to their native villages. It broke the internet. I remember sharing that on our Radio Al Ansar group and saying, are you guys seeing this? Are you seeing what's happening? It's incredible. It showed how after 76 years of Israeli settlers stealing our land, imprisoning us under occupation, massacring native people, we never gave up on our fight for freedom. Keep those thoughts in mind on this October 7th. From me, Salma Kazi Wahab. I'll speak to you on Thursday, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
This adhan is sponsored for the Isal Sawab of Marhum Muhammad Farooq Latib and all Marhumin. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant them the highest abode in Jannah. Ameen.
أعزائي المستمعين، حان الآن